Take a look at this, it's another light. These lighting companies love me for some reason, and I have no idea why. Anyway, I'm super excited to chat about the new AEOS 2 from Rotolight today. It just launched. It has a ton of features for both photographers and videographers, and it does something that I haven't seen before from any other lighting manufacturer. But before I tell you about that, here's a word from our sponsor. Just kidding, guys, I don't have any sponsors. This video isn't sponsored. Rotolight didn't pay me for this video, and all of the views and opinions in it are my own. I want to start by saying that I've really never used Rotolights in any of my work before. Usually if I do use lighting equipment, it's going to be from Light Panel, Aperture, or Ari. So it was fun really getting to play around with this light, especially since it's something that I likely wouldn't have used or purchased in the past. That being said, I want to give Rotolight some props because right off the bat, the menu system on this light is probably the best I've ever used, period. So let's go ahead and talk about that. The quality of the controls is what really impresses me. A lot of the times on other lights you have to press multiple buttons multiple times or use dials to select the choice in the menu system and then use another button to accept it. But in this instance, you don't have to do any of that. You can simply use your finger on the touch screen and go directly to what you want to do, control every aspect with just a touch of the finger, and then get rolling. It's honestly super impressive and one of the best features that this light has. It's so easy to switch from HSI or to CCT mode. You can choose your white balance or your RGB color and just get shooting. The effects panel is also great, and it comes with your standard assortment of effects. There's nothing too special here, but they do work well and they look great. At some point you will be able to control the light via an Android or Apple device, but at the recording of this video that wasn't available to us. I believe that is coming sometime in late March and will honestly be a fantastic element to this light. When it comes to the quality and the power of the light though, I too was impressed with this aspect. At 100% the light is brilliant. It has a fall off of about 8 feet, which is pretty decent for a light this size. It's very bright compared to my Aperture 300D Mark II and Astra 6X panels. It's not as bright as the Aperture 300D, but it definitely comes close. The unit does come with a dome diffuser, but I have to say it's pretty much useless in how it controls or diffuses the light. On or off, the light that comes out of the unit is quite harsh and requires some type of modifier to work well. The unit does have an option for a Bowens attachment mount, but it's not included with the unit, and it's a real shame because I think it would take it to a whole other level if it actually came with the unit. I imagine once the Bowen mount ships, this light will be even better with a 4-foot softbox on it because as it is, makes it very difficult to use as a fill or key without some type of filtration. Can you use it in a pinch? Well, of course. But the quality of the shadows, in my opinion, makes it very unappealing for most applications. Now, who is this unit for? Well, it's aimed at simplifying your setup and giving you more control with your lighting in a lightweight but powerful package. And after testing it for a couple weeks, I can say that most of this is true. It's a very uniquely designed product. I've used various LED lights in the past and can say that I've never used one that was round. I didn't think much of it when I started using the light, but there are some surprising advantages to using a round light versus a square one, particularly when it comes to the edge diffusion and angle diffusion. With a square light, you sometimes have to adjust the angle of your subject because it can give off a harsh line where the light stops, but with a round light, that line is much softer and less noticeable on your subject. That being said, there really isn't a huge difference between a square LED and a round one, and it really comes down to the user's preference. The angle of the LEDs is a tight 50 degrees on this unit, which makes this light have a very focused point when on the subject. The only way to really change this is if you use a large diameter softbox. Now let's talk about build quality. Picking up the unit, it definitely feels light. Parts of it feel sturdy, but there are some parts that feel cheap and plasticky. The handles are supposedly aluminum, but they feel like plastic to me, but ultimately I think they will hold up during regular production without issue. I'm not sure how it's going to hold up in transportation situations or in like rough, rugged situations. The plastic casing is a little weak in my opinion, but I think with a little TLC, the light should be fine in most environments. The unit has a built-in V-mount battery, which is okay, but I think a lot of professionals would have preferred a gold mount variant because it's more secure and it's just honestly an industry standard. This being said, you can easily slap on the adapter plate and change it to a gold mount without any issues if you want. When you use a 190 watt battery with this light, you get between an hour and a half and 2 hours of constant lighting when set at maximum power. This puts it on par with a lot of other lights that are out there in a similar price range. This number can go longer though, just depending on the intensity of the light. With the V-mount battery that's supplied with the unit, you get about 60 to 80 minutes from the use of the light when using constant power. If you're using flash mode, you can take a hell of a lot of photos, but I honestly wasn't able to figure out the exact number of flashes because the unit just wouldn't die. Needless to say, I was able to utilize the entire battery and had power left over to do more with later on. Now let's talk about some of the things that could use improvement on this light. To start, if you're using a heavy V-mount battery, even if you torque down the handles, the unit can still move, and it may accidentally move while you're shooting, which would be awful. So it would be great if there were some fasteners or locks added to the grips to prevent it from slipping. If you do use the smaller V-mount batteries, though, there isn't much of an issue there. My next complaint is the lack of modifiers for this unit. It does come with a diffusion dome, but perfectly frank again, it just doesn't do much when it comes to the quality of the light. It does soften the edges ever so slightly, but you really need to have a proper softbox in here to actually make the unit worthwhile. It doesn't make sense to either buy additional adapters or modifiers for this specific light because it's only going to work on a round light, which is kind of silly, especially since for someone like me, I own about 25 different plus bow and mount modifiers, which are the industry standards. So I really hope that either they ship with the Bowens mount adapter, or it's just cheap when it's available to come out. And for the price, which is $1,400, it should definitely come with a bag and the Bowen mounts adapter. Overall, I'm really excited about the AEOS 2 light. I'm not sure if it's going to end up in my kit or not, but I will say that it really was a pleasure using it. I think the lighting quality is great. I think it does produce a ton of light, and for the form factor and the size, I think it's going to be great for mobile productions. If you have any questions about the unit, just pop them down below. I'll be happy to answer them. If you like what you saw, please like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. And as always, happy shooting. Thanks, guys.